Hi, it's Quinby. This week's book is a must-read that will transport you. But before I dive in, please like and subscribe and comment. Thanks. James Clavell didn't just write historical fiction. He built worlds out of sweat, sex, silk, and salt air. TAIPAN is the second book, chronologically, in his legendary Asian saga, and it's pure epic. Part adventure novel, part Shakespearean power struggle, part fever dream of empire. It's 1841. Hong Kong is little more than a stinking rock, freshly pried from China after the Opium War. But to Dirk Struan, the ruthless Scottish merchant and head of the noble house, it's destiny. He's the TAIPAN, the supreme leader of the trading empire, and he's out to carve a kingdom from chaos. Rival traders, pirates, Chinese warlords, typhoons, betrayal, forbidden love, it's all here, rendered with Clavell's cinematic scope and tactile realism. You smell the sea, feel the sweat, taste the danger. Here's a sample. Jinka sighed, and Struan assumed that the deal was concluded. But it was not. Jinka put his hand into his sleeve pocket and brought out 8 coin halves and put them on the table. Each of 4 coins had been crudely broken in 2. With one of his fingernail protectors, Jinka pushed half of each coin across the table. Last, 4 favor. Man bring one these, you grant favor. What favor? Jinka leaned back in his chair. Don't know a TAIPAN, he said. 4 favor, sometime. About my life, maybe. Sudden, maybe. Don't know when, but ask 4 favor. 1/2 coin favor. Can? Sweat chilled Struan's shoulders. Agreeing to such a demand was an open invitation to disaster. But if he refused, the bullion was lost to him. You put your head into a devil trap, he told himself. Aye, but make up your mind. Do you want the future or nah? You've known Jinka for 20 years. He's always been fair, aye, and the shrewdest man in Canton. For 20 years he's helped you and guided you, and together you've grown in power and riches. So trust him. You can trust him. No, you cannot trust any man, least of all Jinka. You've prospered with him only because you've always held the last card. Now you're asked to give Jinka 4 jokers in your pack of life and death. Once more Struan was awed by the subtlety and diabolic cunning of a Chinese mind, the majesty of it, the ruthlessness of it. But then, Struan told himself, they were both gambling for huge stakes, both gambling on each other's fairness, for there was nothing to guarantee that the favors would be granted, except that you will grant them, and must grant them, because a deal is a deal. Can, he said, holding out his hand. My custom, shake hand. Not Chinese custom, never mind. He had never shaken hands with Jinka before, and he knew that the shaking of hands was considered barbaric. Jinka said, favor perhaps again law. My, yours, Savi? Savi, you friend. You are son no send coin ask bad favor. Jinka closed his eyes for a moment and thought about European barbarians. They were hairy and ape-like. Their manners were repulsive and ugly. They stank beyond belief. They had no culture or manners or graces. Even the lowest coolie was 10,000 times better than the best European. And what applied to the men applied even more to the women. He remembered his one visit to the Chinese-speaking English barbarian whore at Macau. He had visited her more for curiosity than for satisfaction, encouraged by his friends who said it would be an unforgettable experience, for there was no refinement she would not diligently practice if encouraged. He shuddered at the thought of her hairy arms and hairy armpits, and hairy legs and cleft, the coarseness of her skin and face, and the stench of sweat mixed with the foul perfume. And the foods that the barbarians ate, hideous. He had been to their dinners many times, and had to sit through the innumerable courses, almost faint with nausea, and pretending not to be hungry, watching, appalled, at the stupendous quantities of half-raw meats they knifed into their mouths, blood gravy dripping down their chins, and the quantities of maddening spirits they swilled, and the revolting boiled, tasteless vegetables, and indigestible solid pies, all in monstrous amounts, like pigs, like sweating, gluttonous, gargantuan devils. Unbelievable. They have no attributes to recommend them, he thought. None. Except a propensity to kill. And this they can do with incredible brutality, although with no refinement. At least they're the medium for us to make money. Barbarians are evil personified. All except this man, this Dirk Struan. Once Struan was like other barbarians. Now he is partially Chinese. In the mind. The mind is important, for to be Chinese is partially a mental attitude. And he is clean and smells clean. And he has learned some of our ways. Still violent and barbarian and a killer, but a little changed. And if one barbarian can be changed into a civilized person, why not many? Your plan is a wise one, Jenka told himself. He opened his eyes and reached across and delicately touched Struan's hand with his friend. But TAIPAN isn't just about colonial ambition or trade. It's about transformation. East meets West in every sense, culturally, spiritually, sexually. Struan's fascination with China and the pure and unbridled love he bears for May, his Chinese mistress, erases all cultural distinctions to take us to a place that is simply and beautifully human. TAIPAN is a novel of greed and enlightenment, violence and passion, where every deal feels like a duel and every embrace hides a dagger. Clavell's characters and the way they speak and interact puts you there in a way no other author has ever done, at least in my experience. There may be different approaches, but James Clavell truly stands alone. His deep research into the characters and times really brings it all to life. His dialogue especially is a wonder to read, and you come to understand how danger in a physical world can act as a crucible for building a strength of character that is simply unstoppable. If you want a book that crackles with danger and sensuality, it's epic in scope and timeless, TAIPAN is it. It's bold, brutal, and utterly intoxicating. A story of men who would trade their souls for an empire, and women who quietly change the course of history while they do it. This is Quinby Delicious signing off. See you in the next video.